Oh man, you're gonna love this. All right, where'd that shovel of mine go? There it is. Hey everybody, this is Matthew Olmican for Eau Pleine Partnership for Integrated Conservation, coming to you live in the moment here in Athens, Wisconsin. We're on the outskirts of a larger size dairy, and we're standing in this really interesting field. This is my friend Scott Stipetich.
Spot on.
For Pheasants Forever. How long have you been at Pheasants Forever?
Believe it or not, 8 years.
No joke?
No joke, yep. Kind of based over in the Eau Claire area, but really cover northern Wisconsin.
That's super cool. This does not look like a normal farm field to me. So what do we got going on here?
Not quite. I got a wildflower bouquet for you here.
Are they for me?
They are, if you can identify them.
Oh, they are.
Well, which ones do you know? Any?
I do, so watch this. Okay, so black eye Susans. This looks like swamp milkweed.
Spot on.
Right. They call this the Hogwarts Academy something.
Boneset.
Okay, boneset. Okay, let's keep. Oh, vervain.
Got it.
I know that one. Is this called Shepherd's Remorse?
Not even close. We'll go with bergamot.
Bergamot. I made that one up.
That one we didn't talk about today yet.
Wow, I don't know if here, we're gonna bring that in. That's a really interesting one. I have no idea what that one is.
That one, I was surprised to see this one flowering still. This is one of our earliest flower or blooming species out here in the prairie. Foxglove beard tongue.
Beard tongue?
Yep.
Is there a tongue?
It's in the penstemum family though. So.
Say that 10 times fast, kids. Okay.
We talked about that one.
I know we did, and I'm really embarrassed.
Square stem, so it's in the mint family.
Horse mint?
That one's mountain mint. We did see horse mint earlier though. So that was just a short walk around. There's probably 20 to 30 different species that were planted in this field right here.
So, well, the first thing would be is like, okay, so the cat's out of the bag. This is kind of like, now would this be like a prairie, or is this a conservation plot, or is this a pollinator habitat? What is this?
All of the above.
Oh, really? It's pretty cool.
So we use a lot of those words interchangeably.
Okay.
We like to get fancy, and
like I said before, we're on the outskirts of this farm. We're nearby a cornfield. It's got a small strip of hay. And then you said that the farmer initiated this, like he wanted this planted specifically. Yep. So why would a farmer in a farming system want to plant something like this?
Yeah, because 3 years ago, this was corn silage that we're standing on.
Oh, wow.
And so the operator that runs this field was looking at profit maps, so combining kind of yield, overlaying budgets, talking to the banker, the agronomists, myself. You were probably included in some of those conversations.
I showed up somewhere.
About how can we use this land better? This land has to serve a better purpose because the financials were not working out. They were potentially losing money year after year growing corn silage here. And so we looked at the soils. They were a little heavier, wetter, so it was holding that moisture, kind of ponding water. And we needed something that was going to drive that water into the ground, infiltrate it, if you will. So we started talking about prairie species and their rooting depth. Some of these species go down 10, 15 feet in root mass, straight down. And so when you think about water following root channels and whatnot, we're standing pretty dry here today. You're not seeing any stress from the plants here though. And that's why I really like planting prairie in these kind of odd areas.
How many species go into a mix like this?
Like I said, I like to put like 30 or 40. Yeah, just because you never know what you're going to get. We don't have irrigation on this field. We want it to succeed. Yeah, and diversity is the key to life, right?
No, I get that, but so now is it a point to like, well, we want to match 30 or 40 because that's more of like the natural scheme of things. Like we would typically see everything and anything, like you said, depending on the weather system, and that's what you're trying to mimic, or is it more of like, let's hedge our bets, let's just see what we get to stick? Because like it seems to me like, you pointed this out, but like if somebody looks at this, they would probably be able to rattle off, well, it looks like there's 5 things out here, but actually you kind of plucked it out, and like you said, there's a whole bunch of different ones.
We just grabbed the stuff that's blooming today, so this prairie is really just getting going right now too. So things are just starting to flower. These are warm season species, so they need the high heats of Wisconsin summers to really get their motor going and bloom. So we're going to continue to see this prairie kind of evolve, change colors.
Wow.
Now July we're in, so August is next, I believe, and September comes after that. So it's going to change
and then
right
the
now.
year's over.
Yeah, so it's really yellow right now because the black-eyed Susans and the whites are done from the foxglove beard tongue, but it's going to change to purple real quick when the bergamot really starts going. That's another kind of big component.
Is that a
of this
strategy,
mix.
having staged blooms? Is that a specific strategy?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely, and that's mainly done for pollinator species.
Yeah.
You know, try to drive bugs. They need something to eat throughout the year. They're going to start with our trees that are blooming in the spring, and then they're looking for flowers.
Butterflies, honeybees, is there other beneficial pollinators?
Only 400 bee species in
Just
Wisconsin.
in Wisconsin? Really?
I think
Honestly?
that number, yeah, I think that's right.
Wow.
And then you get in with all the other flies and.
If I got a little bit closer here. So over time, that these plants here have really transformed something that this would normally be very blocky, and this would look like a deck of cards. So like that makes it really hard for your main crops like corn and soybeans especially to really pound through this. So that drives down that yield average. So it's kind of like you said, a farmer bleeds money at that point. Like it's there, but it's not maximizing its effort. But did you put there's worms out here, people. And on a normal system like this, where it's like on the edge, where we kind of get into like the swampy or area where that water likes to hold, this should be like a cinder block, but we kind of see that it really busts up really nice, and you see a lot of roots in there. So that's what Scott was talking about before, where this is like, it's really being transformative too. So now the next question would be that somebody would say, now is this something that a farmer would take this out? Or would they just be like, you know what, let's just let that go?
Yeah. Ever-going research is trying to figure out what's the best thing to do with these. You know, historically we just put a bunch of grass in these mixes, and so they weren't great to go back into crops. You know, we kind of mine the soil just like we do with our annual row crops by just planting grass. Once you put these flowers in here, you know, these forbs and different legumes and whatnot, there's a lot of questions about what does that fertility look like in a system. Can you change this ground around with these perennial cover crop systems, if you will, and bring it back into corn now in 5-10 years, and did that soil heal itself? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that, but I'm curious to find out. So there's a lot of opportunities for landowners, farmers to get involved, help cost share with seed. NRCS is a great starting point. You know, that's how this prairie was supported, both financially and technically. Pheasants Forever has biologists across the state, free of service to
like you.
Walk the property, like me. Walk the property, give you recommendations. There's so many funding opportunities out there that really you need kind of some local expertise almost. And so that's why I would say, it's biased, but our Pheasants Forever biologists are a great first stop. They're going to point you to different vendors, different programs, and the management requirements within each one.
The other thing too is like, this isn't just limited to just like farm fields. So like, let's say if you were even like a public institution, like even like a school system, let's say if you got some patches where you want to you want to create like an educational area, a vector to expand, like for like elementary, middle school, or high school. These are great for that, especially as it's getting harder and harder to allocate the labor to deal with like smaller farm fields that are ran by schools, right?
Yep. And there's an endless supply of money for groups like that, 4-H, FFA, school groups. Whenever there's that education component, it's pretty easy to match it up with a grant or two that's going to cover the cost of seed and hopefully some site prep and whatnot.
Well, cool. Well, his name is Scott Stipetich. I'll put his contact information here at the bottom. If you enjoyed this video, why don't you hit the little like button there down at the bottom, share this with your internet friends, and yeah, don't be a stranger and reach out. Thanks, Scott.
Appreciate it.